Courage. And Paul uses that word twice in this passage. And he had already said in chapter 3 about our being very bold. And these are both part of the same response. And now, we talked about as hope. Hope is something that God does within us. Courage is our response. We need to make a response of courage. It still happens because of what He's done. It's based on what He has done in us through faith, hope, and love. But we need to make a response to Him and to the circumstances that we have. And so, Paul says, among the other things that he's going to say, we're already a little bit into the passage. We're already in verse 6 here, but I'm going to start talking about. You can start verse 1. The key passages I'm going to look at, this is the first one, and it talks about courage. And he's going to say it twice within 3 verses. He's going to say, we are always of good courage. Always. And say, let's just be clear about what we mean by courage. Sometimes we get this impression, okay, people who are brave, they're fearless. Okay? I hope you know that that's not what it means. I'm scared of people who are fearless. Because there are good reasons to have fear about a range of different things. And if you have no fear in your life, you might do some really dumb things because you don't know how to deal with the reality of fear. But we should not be ruled by fear. And so, the reality is we are always of good courage because we walk by faith. This is a process. I've been learning how to do this in my life for almost 50 years as a disciple. So I've got a lot of practice. And so, one of those recent experiences that I've had, some of you heard me talk about my experience of a stroke before. I'm not going to go into it very much, but it was a moment in which I needed to respond with courage. I was sitting, for those of you, some of you don't know me that well, so I was in Israel on mission. And bloop, instead of being on mission, I was in a hospital because something happened in my brain. And so I woke up in the hospital and I was saying, something just happened in my life, and I think it was something really bad. Objectively, I think that's true. Something happened. It was not what I wanted, it wasn't what I expected, and it wasn't a good thing for my body. I was sitting there in the hospital, trying to figure out what had just happened, realizing that I couldn't say anything at the moment. And I felt like the Lord said, how are you going to respond to this situation? And I'd like to say that for each of us in every of those situations. It's a new situation. And you say, okay, often my first response is, oh no! This wasn't what I wanted. This isn't what I expected. And somehow, I don't think this is good for me. I say, don't worry about that. It's okay if your first response is an emotional response. Fear! Panic! Even. Okay, fine. But don't live in that immediate emotional response. And don't just make a natural response. The immediate natural response often is a negative response. I didn't want this, I don't like this, I want to change this, I want to get out of here. And say, okay, that's natural too. But don't stay in the emotion. Don't stay in a natural response. By the grace of God, move to this reality that I walk in faith. And this is my response, therefore, into the situation, my chosen response, my spiritual, supernatural response. The real response I want to give back to God isn't the immediate fear or the natural response of, oh my gosh, what's this going to mean for me? Oh, I didn't want this. It's not my plan. But to move as quickly as possible to the response of faith. Again, you can't make the faith yourself. That's His work in you. He builds the faith into you. But walk in faith. You've got something more than your immediate emotional or natural response, because God has given you faith and hope and love. And your real response to every situation in your life will be that response. And so I sat there and I said, I think, Lord, I think something just really bad happened. It wasn't in the plan. And I think there's a possibility that it may be permanent. Like what they're saying to me, this sounds like it was a stroke. At the moment, I can't speak anything, and they're not sure if I ever will again. And so I've got to make a response to a situation that looks like a bad situation. Okay, now, I've been doing this for a long time, okay? So I say, after decades of trying to make a walk in faith, I make it more quickly. But it's a response that each of us can choose, can get to. And even if it's not the first response, and if it's not the natural response, it is the response that the Lord wants to bring you to, and He will give you the grace to get there. And that will be your real choice response. This is what I will do. I will respond in courage. I will trust in the Lord. I will move forward into what He's asking from me now. My response is yes. I don't know what that yes means yet, but I'm trusting you. And again, as I sat there, I said, you know what, this may have just changed everything in my life. What I've been doing for the last decades, I may not be able to do. And I don't know what it means. But as quickly as I could, I said, Lord, but my response to you is, I'm in your hands. I will trust you. I don't know what it'll mean, but you have a plan. You're going to bring something good for me out of this bad situation. And so as quickly as I can, I'm going to move to that walk in faith. This is what Paul is doing. And he's giving us his own experience. He knows he's had so many bad experiences in his life that, like I said, I hope I never had to shipwreck, beatings, persecutions. Man, he says, but I am always courage. This good courage because I have learned to walk in faith. It's a choice. It's a possibility. It is offered to each of us in every one of those situations. Bring that into your own situation of today. What are the challenges? This is how it feels right now. But of I will walk in faith. Well, what is faith now? What does it look like here? What do you want for me? And what do you want from me? The answer is yes. I'm not saying it's easy. And as I say, you may be in the early part of the process. Your still quick response is not a response that you want. It's panic. It's anger. It's discouraged. It's fine. That's okay. God understands you're a human being. But don't stay in your emotional response or your natural response. He has grace for you to walk. Whatever that situation is. And He will bring good into that situation as you receive His grace to say yes to faith and hope and love. So He comes back to it again. We are of good courage. He really wants us to get this clear. And He says, in a lot of ways, we would rather to be away from the body and home with the Lord. What does that mean? It'd be nicer, actually, to get to heaven now. Because that's really where I'm supposed to go. I will be with Jesus. Everything will be perfect. That's the long-term picture. But right now, I'm not at home with the Lord. I'm away in the body. I'm in this world. I'm in this situation. But whether I get home, at what point that will be, or I'm here, away from the face of God in heaven, I make my aim to please Him. This is my response. Good courage is my response of faith and hope and joy and love to every situation that He gives me. And when I say that yes, He will turn every situation I have into grace for me, for growth for me, for more blessing in my life and others as I say yes. Not because it was immediately a good thing. He will turn anything into His purpose, His blessing, His grace for you. And our response is always that yes of good courage. Does that make sense? Let's think about how to apply that right now for each of us. I'm going to move on to another passage that I love. For the love of Christ controls us, because we are convinced that one has died for us, for all, therefore all have died. This sounds very strong and very weird if you understand it incorrectly. It doesn't mean, well, Jesus is going to turn me into a Jesus robot, and He's going to control me. No, the point is, He is under a process in your life in which He is bringing His response to become your response. And more, your response, your natural response, your personal choice response is the love of Christ within you. This is what He is doing in your life. Again, how do I get more of that? He's doing that in you. He builds faith within you. Love, hope within you. Love within you. It's the work of the Holy Spirit in your life as you continue to say yes to Him. He is transforming you. He is changing you. And that moves me. So the love of Christ it's really moving me. It's Jesus' love that's moving me into what He wants me to be. He said, I'm not there yet. Fine, but He's taking you there. That's where He's going. He's looking for a yes from you. To allow that to be your response to the work of His grace, the work of His love within you. And this is related very closely to this next passage. Because if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. I think the Lord wants you to believe that this is true. This is one of those things, this is part of His promise to you. The basis of your hope isn't, I would really like to be a good person. No. He's trying, I have made you a new creation. It is done by my grace within you, as you have said yes, and I have made you my daughter, my son, my disciple. I have made you a new creation. Live in the truth and the promise of what I have done in you. The old has passed away. Unfortunately, it's not like, boop, it's gone. No, it's passing. The fundamental change is changed. You are now new. You are not the old thing that you were, because you are now a son, daughter of God, because of what He has done in you. We say, that happened when I was baptized. Fine, that's when He did it, at least the start. But there is a change in what you are. Your nature is different than you naturally were. But He is also bringing that creation into a reality in your life, step by step by step. It's a miracle in your life that He's ready to do every day, if you are willing. Is it, okay, it's done. Nothing else to do. No. It's done, but He is also taking you into the fullness of what that means. And then, having done that, He is now bringing you into part of His creation in this world. You are becoming part of His work of reconciliation to others. And you're going to bring this reality into other people's lives as part of the service of what it means to be a disciple. That you are bringing reconciliation of other people to Jesus. How can I do that? Because He's already done that in me by making me His new creation. And because of that, in response to His faith and hope and love, my courage, my trust, my yes to Jesus, He's transforming me to being His ambassador for Christ in His work. That's true for each of us. And it's also what He's calling us to be as a people, as a community, as the church, to be an ambassador for Christ into this world. Again, there's too much rich food here for the short period of time you have. What does the Lord say to you today in all of these things? What is His word to you and your response of good courage to Him? Okay, Bob? I'm going to give you some meditation points, and then you've got the rest of the morning until lunch, okay? Once again, ask the Lord to make His word alive today for you in your heart and your mind. Paul calls us to always be of good courage. How? How do we do that? In light of our hope, our faith, our love. What He's done in us, in the Holy Spirit, that gives us the basis for a response of good courage. May the Lord Himself build still more of His good courage into our lives. Wherever you are now, He wants to bring you farther into that process, so that your quick, immediate yes is a response of good courage. Let me ask for God's grace in my personal life and also in my service, that the love of Christ might truly control me. In that sense that I was saying, not turning you into a Jesus robot, but transforming you so that this is your response. He is urging you from within to love with His love, to becoming His agent, His ambassador, the very image of Jesus Himself. And therefore, before I close, I will thank the Lord for these realities. I am a new creation in Christ, and I am an ambassador for Christ in this world by the power of His Holy Spirit. Amen, Bob? Amen. So, Ted will tell you how much time you have before we go and eat lunch. But until then, talk to Jesus.